Today, we're going to be going over exponential graphs. Now, while exponential graphs are only worth 7 points on the average SAT, I definitely have seen some where they're weighted more, and so definitely understand this concept to get the full points. So our approach is going to be to identify exponential graph questions. We're going to break down the question. We're going to build a formula to solve them. And lastly, we're going to solve a practice question together. So how do you identify these? Well, these questions will give you a graph with exponential growth, or they'll describe a situation with exponential growth where they're implying something about a graph. And what they're going to do is they're going to ask you to interpret the graph or some part of the equations they're giving you. And we'll look at this in our practice problem. So here's the formula for exponential graphs. We're going to find out what's being asked. We're going to analyze our graph or equation. Then step number 3, we're going to apply what's being asked to our graph or equation. So here's an example question. It tells us the equation P equals 3600 times 1.06 to the m divided by 12 models the number of premium users, P, of a mobile app m months after launch. Based on the model, which of the following statements is true? Well, first, let's find out what's being asked. This one's a little bit more vague. It's just asking us which statement is true. And so it's going to depend on what all our statements are saying. Looking at the statements, I think we're trying to interpret how the number of premium users is changing with a given time period, because we have premium users in all of them, and we have some time period. Next, we're going to analyze our graph/equation. And so here we have an equation, and I'm going to give you the form of exponential growth generally, because after we go over it, it's going to be more clear what this equation is telling us. So generally, exponential growth is going to look like value at t, so value at a certain time, equals the value at 0 times the growth rate to the power of time. Okay, so now that we've gone over this, let's identify each of these in the equation they give us. So P is going to be our value at any specific time. V at 0, or for us, the number of premium users at time 0 is 3600. And then our growth rate is this 1.06, which is representing to me a 6% growth rate. And then lastly, our time value is m divided by 12. And so it's months divided by 12. So that's telling me it's just yearly. So I can tell that if we're doing it yearly and we have a 6% growth rate, before even looking at our answer choices, I'm thinking I'm looking for one that says we have 6% growth every year. So A, the number of premium users increases by 6% every year. This one looks good to me actually, but let's go through the other ones and see why they're wrong. B, the number of premium users increases by 60 each month. Well, this one's definitely not right, because we're starting with 3,600 and we're increasing by 6%, but we're increasing exponentially, and so we're never going to have the same amount of increase every month. This one just looks wrong. C, the number of premium users increases by 60 each year. Again, we have exponential growth, and so it's not going to be the same amount of increase every year. Looks wrong to me. D, the number of premium users increases 6% per month. Now that would be right if we didn't have this divided by 12, but we do have it divided by 12, so that shows me that it only increases by 6% every 12 months, and so D is incorrect too. As we can see, A is correct. Now let's look in Desmos to see if this could have helped us. So here in Desmos, I'm going to type in our equation, and I'm going to use x's and y's because Desmos wants you to use x's and y's, or it's not going to understand your equation. So always transfer to x's and y's when you're in Desmos. So 3,600 times 1.06, and this is going to be to the power of x divided by 12. So we actually can't see our graph here, and you might think, oh, we typed it in wrong, but an important thing to note in Desmos is sometimes you just need to scroll out. And since this one is so big, we had to scroll out quite a bit. So as we mentioned, we can see here at time 0, we have 3,600. So an easy check we could have used to differentiate whether we were growing 6% per month or 6% per year would be here in Desmos. So if it was monthly, then when x equals 1, we should have 6% growth from 3,600, which would be 3,816. So let's see if that's the case. Nope, we only have 3,617, not 3,800. And so if it's every year, then at the point 12, we should have the number we're looking for, and we can see we do. And so after 12 months, we grew 6%, not after 1 month. And so that shows us we grow 6% per year, and that would have helped us decipher between answer choices as well. So definitely a good one to use Desmos, and good luck on these.